Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yep, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, Angela Yee. I still don't know what DJ Envy is.
Yeah, he's been away, but he'll be back soon. But
We have a special guest in the building.
Iyanla Vanzant is here.
She smells amazing.
I do?
Yes, you do. How are you this morning?
I'm good.
But you don't know you smell good? You got to know what you
Well,
put
you know
on.
what? That's my body product. I make it. So
Oh,
I
okay.
smell it
Oh.
all the time. So I never.
You're used to it.
I'm used to it. It doesn't matter.
So is it an oil, a spray? Or...
I have a body wash. It's called Masterpiece Body Therapy. I have a body wash. I have a shower oil.
Wow.
I have a body butter.
Sounds like you need to get these products.
It smells very refreshing.
Yeah,
Right, the
it
whole
is
room, 'cause
because
this room normally stinks.
it's created with oil and herbs so that we clean our energy as we wash our body because we don't think about energy.
Clean your energy.
Clean your energy.
You know,
Because a lot of
stink-
people have cootie energy.
Yeah, if you got stink energy,
That's
that's
right.
a different
It don't
level.
matter. That's right. It doesn't matter how much you wash
Yeah,
if you don't clear your energy. You know, whether it's sadness or grief or
Mm-hmm.
anger or upset, how do you clear that?
You think people can really smell it?
It's not a smell. It's just a
You
feeling.
feel it. Yeah.
Like, haven't you ever gone in anybody and you say, ew?
Yeah, you know how we are very attracted to people according to our scent attraction too.
Yes,
They
yes.
always say scent attraction means so much. You know how you can like smell somebody's shirt and be like, oh, I miss him so much.
Yeah, but you know
And
why
be their
that is?
natural.
Because scent is the only one of our senses that doesn't get processed by the brain. Scent goes directly through the olfactory nerves into the central nervous system. That's why you only need to smell collard greens once to know what it is. or a banana or chitterlings.
No, I'm an energy person too. Like if your energy isn't right, I don't want nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
I
but-
don't care who you are.
But how do we clean our energy? Nobody teaches us that.
And you have to have a lot of people whose energy isn't right because that's basically what you do is you are working on fixing people's energy.
Well, their minds. Because if your mind is not right, your energy is going to be off. And we got a lot of people with off minds right now. I won't mention any names.
Oh, listen, we're going to revisit some of your past episodes, but we are gearing up. The new season has come.
Yes.
Fix My Life.
Yes.
And I saw you had Selena Johnson and Syl Johnson on.
Well, that was from before. That was
before.
just rebooting to see where they are now. But we started this season Saturday with the Mitchell family, which was the family of the 5 brothers that were with me last year.
All this
both-
rebooting. Because you know what is good about that? It's not like you just move on from them and we never see them again.
Right.
We need to revisit and see since you had them on the show, what steps have been taken, where are they now, how much has that work been done?
And how much have they done the work? And we saw with the Mitchells on Saturday that they kind of forgot to do their work.
Is that easier or harder to work with somebody you've already worked with before?
Well, it's not easy or hard. It's just getting them to understand this thing is a consistent thing. You don't. It's not like a one-hit wonder. You do it and then you're fixed. You know, you got to continue with the work. And as we saw Saturday with the Mitchells, they hadn't really continued with their work, or even so, they hit a wall. They had gone as far as they can go. And so they needed more information and more support and to clear more stuff.
I think people don't understand healing is a process.
It is a process. You don't go to surgery and then come out and you're done.
Yeah.
You got to go into the recovery room. Then the stitches have to heal. Then you have to rebuild your strength in that particular area. It's the same thing with the mind and the heart. You don't just get the information and voila, I'm healed. And particularly if you've been in this dysfunction or pain or breakdown for a number of years, you need time to recover.
Sometimes I think we automatically assume when someone agrees to do the show that they want to get this work done. And sometimes these people are very resistant.
No, we don't look for people. Everybody who comes to us.
But they have to agree to do it. And
But
so,
they don't know what it is.
Right.
They don't know what it is. It's just like you married Charlie, and because y'all got along good at the club, you think he's fine, and then you get home and you realize his breath stink, his feet stink, and now he got a key. So you gotta, they don't really understand.
Right.
And so, I'm not there to agree with you. I'm not there to make you feel good. I'm there to cut through whatever the crust is so that we can get to the center and the core. And it's frightening.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes I get a little concerned, because the viewers are looking at their clothes and their hair and their fingernails. No. These people have put their soul on the line. Look for the lesson. Look for what you can use.
DMX is trying to come back and perhaps to revisit that. Is that something you're open to?
My experience is that he's not ready. He's not ready for me. He's not ready to do the work, and so I don't want to repeat of the challenges we had before when he wasn't ready. It's just not fair to him. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to the viewer.
Do you think that when a man is that age and he's still not ready to do the work, will he ever get right?
Yeah, he can.
Okay.
He can, but the thing is, not just with Earl or DMX, but people can't come. You can't go into surgery and tell the doctor how to do it.
Well,
You know what I mean? You can't go into surgery and say, cut me this way, stitch me that way. You have to go in with a level of trust and openness and willingness. And I think for men, particularly, coming to me, a woman, the ego gets involved. You know, and since men aren't really programmed and conditioned and processed about how to process their feelings, when I hit that nerve, the man is coming for me, the woman,
Right.
and I'm not there for that. I'm there to help you clear. But it's a lot. It's hard.
you know why
I
that
never
is
thought
too?
about that. I never thought about how men would react to a woman speaking to them about things and how different that could be than how they react to a man. I would think a woman, when you talk about emotions, would be better equipped for a man to want to.
But the first thing that's going to come up is shame or embarrassment. And then the ego will jump in.
That fragile male ego.
That's right. And then they coming for me as the woman, you know. And I try to hold a space so I can be a soft place for them to fall.
But that's because men don't know how to react to anything other than with violence in a lot of situations, or to get angry.
Well, no one has taught any of us as human beings how to process our emotions. None of them, whatever it is. We're taught that fear or sadness is weakness. We're taught that anger is bad or wrong. We don't even know how to process things like sorrow, disappointment, you know, anxiety. We can't even distinguish between them. We may have disappointment and think it's gas, you know, just like somewhere. And, you know, so it's really my experience has been the average human in this society, black, white, male, female, has a very limited emotional vocabulary and an emotional library. Very, very limited. So most of us are emotionally retarded.
Yeah.
We have arrested development when it comes to understanding and processing our emotions. Same thing with women. You know, we know how to be happy. We know how to be angry. But do we know how to express sorrow, grief,
Right.
sadness, anxiety? Do we know we know what frustration is, but do we know the root and cause of it? Do we understand it's disappointment, or maybe it's, you know, some incomplete conversations we have? So we're really emotionally retarded.
That's why I think we need SEL in schools, starting in elementary school.
Yes.
Because I know for a fact I just learned to start processing my emotions over the past couple of years, and that's because of therapy.
Right.
I feel like they need that in schools to let everybody just learn how to deal with their emotions early.
Well, even identify the emotions. Sometimes you don't have to deal with them. You just need to know what it is and have permission
Right.
to have the feeling.
To feel,
People
yeah.
will tell you, don't say that, don't feel like that, don't do that. You know, we just cut it off and not understanding that emotion is the energy that moves us. So that's why my whole masterpiece body wash line came about, because so many of us are emotionally constipated. You know?
So you got a laxative too?
You know, yeah, it's called a body wash. Clean that stuff off your body because it's herbs and oils.
Yeah.
And herbs break it down. But so many of us are emotionally constipated. And then we go to the self-medication, whether it's the drinking or the smoking or the porn or the shopping or the whatever it is.
Shopping does make me feel great sometimes.
It does too. But can I tell you something? I'll confess this because, you know, I fly around a lot. I do a lot of work. And I remember the first 2 or 3 seasons of Fix My Life. Afterwards, I would go in a store and just lose my mind. I mean, shoes, bras, whatever, it didn't matter. And then I would get home and I'm like, why do I
buy
have
this,
this?
yeah.
What is this? But what I got was I was giving. I felt depleted and I was filling the void with shopping. And I had to stop that because the the card company really didn't care that I was having an emotional crisis.
And I'm sure that wasn't filling you. It wasn't fulfilling.
No, but because I didn't stop to think about it, I just did it. And you know, for us as women, that just seems like a normal thing. Go shopping.
Right. We're like, okay, I made
But
some
when
money,
I
let me
really
treat
got
myself.
into the void and realized, okay, this is not about me shopping. This is about me not replenishing myself and trying to fill the void with the things. So now when I feel that, now that I know what it is, I know what the void feels like. When I feel that, the last place I go is shopping.
That's how I feel. That's actually when I used to cheat on my wife, I was doing it for ego. And then it's like you realize that's not what's filling you up.
Right.
It doesn't fill you up. It feels like you're just pouring something into a bottomless.
That's right, a bottomless
cup.
pit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because no matter how much I bought, I would still get home and still have the thing.
Right.
So I had to
And then you're
check
also
on
mad
the
at yourself,
thing.
like, why did I buy
and now I
this?
got the bill. Forget the thing. I could use the thing. It was the bill that I was concerned about.
You know what's interesting about the feelings thing too? It's like, you know, when you're young, they tell you all of these different positive affirmations. They're like, oh, you gotta feel happy, and Hakuna Matata means no worries. But what if I got worries?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like when we get those feelings, we try to dismiss them because we think something's wrong with us for having them.
And we have to learn how to give ourselves permission to be present with whatever it is that we're feeling in the moment. You know, loving, attentive kindness to it. Sometimes you don't have to do anything about it. Can I just be with this?
Right. I always tell people it's so normal to have these emotions. I broke up with my boyfriend. Of course I'm sad about it. Why wouldn't I be? There's something wrong if you don't feel anything.
Right.
I would think.
But what the average person would think is that they need the boyfriend to end the sadness. And that's not true. What you need to do is to be with the sadness, understand what it is communicating to you, and give yourself permission to have it. Because if I were to cut you open on the autopsy table right now and look everywhere, where would I find sadness? Here. This is the only place it exists. Sadness, anger, grief, sorrow, disappointment, frustration. What happens is because we don't process it, that energy, that electrical current goes through the body, and then we want to do something physical about it, and that's how we get in trouble. That's domestic violence, that's child abuse, that's just, you know, crazy in the world.
As we see so many more conversations about mental health happening now, do you feel like your show was kind of ahead of its time?
Yeah.
And what it was that you've been doing?
Yeah, and 5 years from now, some other person will come along and they'll get Emmys and Grammys and all manner of stuff. Same thing that happened when I did Starting Over, when I started processing women on Starting Over. The next thing you know, now everybody's in the house, you know, and Starting Over isn't even remembered. The same thing with Fix My Life. You know, I'm usually on the bleeding edge, not even the cutting edge. I'm out so far ahead of the thing until I'm bleeding. Because when Fix My Life first started, people thought I was crazy. And now it's become a part of the culture, you know. And I personally, I could be very wrong. Please forgive me if I am. A white person's going to come along and do it, and it'll be raves.
Get all the credit for
Oh,
it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
It's
what's
such a
gonna
staple
happen.
for us, but I do feel like early on people didn't understand so much. Like, why would you go on that show? Why is she talking to them like that? And there was a lot of criticism, but people also loved the show at the same time.
Well, now they do because I've been consistent.
Right.
And they've seen the results. And they've done what I asked them to do. Because the first 2 seasons, we used to give a worksheet for each show and tell people, don't look at the people, do your work. So now people get it. Okay, this may not be my story, but I can apply this. So now they're doing it. But I'm still a black woman doing it. You understand? That's still NBC, CBS, Fox. They would never look at it until they put a white person in there. And then I remember so clearly when I did Iyanla, the talk show,
Yes.
how the producers told me, nobody wants to see you dancing. Nobody wants to see any music.
Okay,
And then
Ellen.
here come Ellen.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. When I wanted to do, they told me, you can't say that to people. Nobody wants to watch television with people solving problems all the time.
All right,
But
Dr. Phil.
Okay. I mean, this has been my experience. No heat, no judgment. My purpose is my purpose. I've been blessed and humbled by what I've been able to do on the Oprah Winfrey Network, and grateful. But you mark my words, because you'll still be here. 5 years from now, they're going to put a white person on the network doing this, and it'll be raves all over the world. Watch.
Do you think that it would have been embraced more if it was Oprah presented?
No, because Oprah isn't known to do the kind of this level.
Gotcha.
She introduced it to the world. And if you recall when she did Live Your Best Life years ago, and she had John Gray, Susie Orman, me, Dr. Phil, and people thought, who is she trying to be? She's trying to be a psychologist. Again, a black woman being criticized, toe down. And now you got it everywhere.
You know, you're absolutely right, because I did a live therapy session last year on VH1, and I wanted a sister, Dr. Jessica Clemens, to be the therapist.
Right.
And I had to fight for her.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to bring in Dr. Drew, and I'm like, listen, the last thing my people want to see is a black man talking to a white man about their problems when the white man caused most of them.
Right.
You know?
And that's not about Dr. Drew.
No, it's
because he's a wonderful person. But it's just about the things in this society that we won't talk about. We won't talk about the presence of race and how it impacts us and what happens and what goes on. We just won't talk about it. We got this wonderful occupant in the White House, you know, who's clearly demonstrating some mental imbalances. And we're trying to explain it away. What is wrong with you? Go somewhere and sit down with yourself.
What are the mental imbalances? Because I feel like all old white rich males have a lot of those mental imbalances.
I don't know that many to be able to speak about it. But you know, if one of my grandchildren, I have I got 2 great-grands.
Congratulations.
Yeah. If one of my grandchildren were to behave publicly the way the occupant of the White House does, they'd have to come over to Ye's house for a conversation. I'm Ye. Ye need to get you in check, boo, because judging people, calling people, being disrespectful, not telling the truth, not owning your stuff, putting stuff out there and then saying you didn't put it out there. What are you drinking? You smoking Happy Flowers again? Don't do that.
That's something we have to check up on.
I think it's just power. I think it's power and privilege.
That may be it, but then look how we're responding. We're sitting here, one finger up our nose and one up our butt, like we're not, this is going on. It makes me crazy. I'm like, why are we asking this? Why are we asking it? Because we have to take responsibility. It's out here because we do it in here. We do it every day. I have to go back to what our brother D.L. Hughley said years ago. People don't pay attention to it. He said, Barack Obama is what we aspire to be, but Trump is who we are.
Who we are.
Damn. I'm not that.
Well, we do it.
That's America.
Okay, let me just ask you.
I can't.
How many times in your private, personal life, you don't have to answer me, just think about it, do you say something? And then when you get called on it, deny that you say it. How many times have you done it in relationships with your kids? We do it with our kids all the time. I'm going to get you so-and-so, go over there, and then we don't do it. And then when the kids come back and say, you said so-and-so. No, I didn't. We do it all the time. How many times do you, rally people to be on your side, to make you right, and shove other people away or tear other people down to make your point? Maybe, I've done it. I'm better now. I'm healed, thank you, Lord. But I recognize what I'm looking at.
It's a process.
And everything that I see there, I've done it.
Right.
In my personal life, in my relationships, with my children, to myself. So I think that he's very purposeful. He's showing us who we are. We need to stop looking at him and look at ourselves. And when I said that before, his wonderful supporters came after me. I said the same thing about Jussie Smollett. We do it. What he did, we did. Basically, what he did at the bottom line was he told a lie.
Yeah.
Although he'll still say now that he's telling the truth.
I'm saying how it affected us. I don't know what his consciousness is. Haven't had a conversation with him.
Now, R. Kelly's somebody you could have had a conversation with.
No. Not ready.
But he wanted to.
Again, I'm very clear about mental imbalance when I see it. I'm very clear about distortion in energy when I see it. Not that I won't work with it, but you got to own it. And I'm real clear when somebody's coming to me to tell their story, not to get healed. I don't process stories.
Right.
I do the healing. And I don't think he was ready. He needed to tell his story.
So he can't come to you until he's ready to admit he has a problem, basically.
Yeah. He's still in denial.
Did you speak to him already personally behind the scenes?
Not personally, but through his people. And just the mere fact that he was making demands of how he wanted this thing to happen.
No way.
And I'm like,
You can't do that.
I ain't on that committee, brother. I'm not on that committee.
What kind of demands could you make? Like,
I'm not coming to you. You come to me. Iyanla Vanzant ain't coming to you, boo. Not because I'm Iyanla Vanzant, but because doctors don't make house calls anymore.
They don't?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh.
You got to go to the hospital or and he needed, emergency triage at that point. And in order to really heal, not just these people, but any of us, they are just demonstrations. You got to be willing to own your stuff. But if the shame and the guilt and the denial and the resistance is what you're holding on to, you're not ready.
right.
Do the issues of the people you work with ever get in your spirit? And if so, how do you work through that?
Well, that's what I was saying. I'd shop.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Now I don't, I found out ways to protect my energy, A lot of it is scent. If I'm smelling something, my energy is in a different place. How I take care of my body and my mind afterwards, the clearing, the cleaning, the washing,
Sage.
Yeah, little sage. Well, some things sage can't help. You got to go deeper than sage. You got to go to the hyssop and the dragon's blood. But yeah, clearing the space. The other thing is, at Fix My Life, we keep the space clear. I have people that I work with. We cleanse the space before we go in. We cleanse it during. I have someone there on the set clearing the energy throughout the process. We pray before we start. We pray at the end of the day. So we also prepare the space so that the energy is clear.
I would think that you've seen so much that there's nothing new to you now. And you've worked with all different kinds of people. So on this new season, what are some things that you're learning, or maybe some things that you're like, this has never happened before?
I think not that it's never happened before, but again, just the depth of wounding that occurs, particularly to men, when we are not given permission, when our emotional health is not addressed, not mental health, but emotional health, and what it does to man, and how devastated so many men in this world are simply because nobody taught them how to process a feeling. The whole issue of, and the other thing I learned this season, because there are 3 or 4 shows that really deal with this, is really the devastation a lie can have on somebody's life. A lie, a simple lie. Oh my God, and that's my story. I know that story, but really how it affects people. Those 2 things, the devastation of men and not being able to process their emotions, and how we as women contribute to that, because we're the mothers. We contribute to it the way you the man of the house. No, I'm 7. Right. Stop that noise. Don't be a punk. No, go on, cry, boo.
But you get that from both sides. If you got a father in the house and you got a mother in the house, sometimes your mother might be the caring one, but then your father's like, stop babying that boy.
Right.
Like,
right.
I just want to hug.
Yeah. But, because he wasn't taught.
Exactly.
And the other thing that I'm really clear about this season more than ever is the resurgence or the reemergence of our ancestral historical wounds. Let me tell you something. That thing is real. Okay. We are dealing with some stuff now, particularly people of color, African Americans, Latin Americans, Native Americans, because I'm all of that.
Generational trauma.
Yes. Coming to the surface to be healed. And so many people are ill-equipped to deal with it.
Do you think it's because this administration reminds us of that old school way, so we feel
Absolutely.
like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's happening. It's coming up. But it's coming up to be healed. It's not coming up because it's wrong or bad. If we go back and we look, nobody even dealt with the fact that during that election time, how they desecrated the land in South Dakota, digging up the burial ground of the sacred burial ground of the Native Americans. This is their land. This is their land.
Yeah.
We are guests here. Well, we ain't even guests. We're captives, but And so where'd that energy go? We act like it didn't happen. Right. It happened, and we didn't address it. And the whole thing that's going on with the Mother Earth we're in a very exciting time. Look at the weather. Is this not insane?
So I was going to ask you, do you think the Earth is rebelling against these old white men?
Well, not against the old white men.
I think the old white men is the problem. I really do.
But the old white men came from old white women. So it's consciousness. It's not people. It's consciousness. That's what it is. I think the Earth is rebelling against the consciousness that we hold as human beings. We're so mean to each other. That during social media thing it's nasty.
It's the devil.
It really is. We're mean to each other. We and then this competition and comparison. Simple things. I was saying the other day, I'm on tour. I'm going around the country. And I was saying the other day, I remember how my grandmother made me wear a girdle for so many years, a girdle, because it was considered inappropriate for women's behinds to jiggle. Right. And now women are paying lots of money to get their behind to jiggle.
I saw you say, too, that black women comparing themselves to each other is an act of violence.
It is an act of violence.
Can you expound on that?
Well, comparing themselves to each other, what she has and what she did, she didn't get it. This whole war that goes on among the youngins, these beautiful artists who are fighting against each other, that's not us. We are a we people.
Right.
Our ancestral, historical DNA is about community, about us. This thing that they're doing, I don't want to call no names, but as an elder, I'm going to pow their butt if I ever see them.
You think social media really plays the biggest role in that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we beat each other up when we see what somebody else is doing, comparing yourself to somebody else.
Or even people
and tearing each other down. Let me tell you something. If I hear, I'm going to come get you in the corner, and I'm going to dress you down. I'm not going to get on the radio or TV or the social media and call you out like that. That's inappropriate, babe. That's not us. That's not our culture. That's not our way. So this thing that they're doing, this one fighting that one, and they ain't friends, and this and that and the other thing. And at the same time, we'll sit by and watch each other die. Everybody knew about, or many people knew about R. Kelly.
Right.
Many people knew about DMX. Many people knew about Whitney and Michael. And we're sitting there worrying about what they're doing with their money, but watching them die. Come on now. We need to stop that. I'm not going to let you die. I'm not. Now I call you, you have to take my call.
Absolutely. How would you have intervened with a Michael?
Remove everybody who was around him from around him. That's number one. Because people who are invested and you staying sick will allow you to stay sick. I don't have an investment in him being sick. I want him healed, whether it's him or Whitney or Phyllis Hyman. The story goes on. We've seen it before.
When we see R. Kelly and we see how the people around him knew everything that he was doing, they had knowledge about the tapes, they've seen the tapes. Don't you think they should have some type of accountability for the people that allowed this to go on and even helped?
Accountable to who? Who they going to be accountable to?
I would think legally.
Well, they have to first have enough integrity to be accountable to themselves. They got to first have that level of integrity, because that means they have to admit, I was getting a check from him. And the quieter I became, the bigger my check got. They got to admit that. They got to own that first before we can even start talking about them being held accountable.
Now, you also have the podcast launching.
Yes, which is really just going back over all the wonderful shows and looking at the lessons and the things that we did.
I feel like you should have been had
a podcast. Yeah, I was
going
to say, that's a no-brainer right there.
Well, I do. I can only do a few. I'm old, Charlamagne. I can't do it.
You're not old. Stop it.
I am old.
Seasoned.
Wait a minute. Seasoned? No, I'm old. Now, I'm not aged. but I'm old because there's this whole big conversation on the internet this weekend because I've been on tour and I've been posting my pictures and people are talking about how all the plastic surgery I had. No, I'm not on the plastic surgery.
Where the plastic surgery at?
I don't know.
They're just saying you look good, really.
But but why not say you look good for
Right.
your age
People
as
don't wanna say
opposed to
that.
she's had work done?
Because everything that looks good nowadays is artificial. So
no,
when they see it natural, they don't
well,
even
let me tell you
recognize that
something.
no
If
more.
I were to take this shirt off, all y'all be horrified. I just know how to make it look good.
You gotta get the girl. Your grandma used to make you wear.
Listen, but I have been out there with no Spanx on. That's ain't good.
Hey.
It's called push-ups. It's called a green drink. It's called
I'm
cut
not
out
mad
the
at
fried
that.
foods.
Right.
It's called don't let crazy people worry you and turn your hair gray and give you wrinkles. How about that? It's called prayer. It's called meditation. How about that?
I feel like the Queen's been looking amazing lately, though. I look at Oprah. Oprah look
Yes.
youthful. You look
You know
youthful.
why?
Angela Bassett.
You know why? Because we have learned how to identify and avoid crazy.
That's it.
I don't.
I say that every day. That's all we do. When we wake up, we just trying to avoid crazy.
Listen, when you see crazy coming, cross the street. I am not on the. I am retiring from your issues.
Right.
That's why I hate social media, because it's so easy for the crazy to get right to you.
No, I don't even do that. I block them.
Do you pay attention to people that have been on the show previously? Like Hazel E's been in a lot of mess lately.
Yeah, but you know what? They came to me for a job. I mean, for a process. I let them know that I'm there. If they don't come back to me, I don't interfere in them. Like Evelyn Lozada and I, Terrell Owens and I,
Right.
because they reach back out. But if they don't, I just got shocked and horrified.
Oh, that's Cardi B twerking on TV.
This is a mother. That's somebody's mother.
She's a performer.
I know, but I am too. But okay, we're not having that conversation. I'm old.
How'd you used to feel about Tina Turner then back in the day? Because Tina was up there shaking.
Shaking front view with her husband on the set. That's very different. You know,
Offset was probably there.
I've seen Tina do it. I mean, well, the Supremes in them, they didn't do it. But I don't know why Tina never came across as sexually inappropriate to me. I don't know. But when you start with your back to everybody, I don't know.
Is there a way to have that conversation without sounding judgmental?
No, you know why? Because I wouldn't, the conversation, tell me what your intention is in doing that. That would
she
be the
has
first
songs like
question.
Twerk and,
But it's not just her.
dancing.
It's a lot of them. It's a lot of the girls who are dancing behind the singers and stuff. I just want to know, what is your intention? You know what it is? When I grew up, nobody interpreted our music. We heard the music and we made up what it meant. And I think today a lot of the dancing in the back scene, people are interpreting your music. Because some things that they think are sexy or they make it about sex. I don't hear it is about sex. So I was like, oh, well, that's a very different dance. I would never have done that dance for that song.
I was just talking about how a lot of songs from back in the day, we would sing them and we didn't know what it was about, but they would be very sexual
Yes.
in nature. And you're like, damn, later on in life, you're like, I didn't know that's what Little Red Corvette was about.
Right,
Or-
right.
Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing was a pretty risque song back then,
But
right?
nobody was bumping and grinding on it.
I
It
think
left you in your mind to do it.
we also have a lot more access to see things now, though.
That's true.
Because I think with everything being filmed, streamed, social media, we get to see that.
Right.
Back then, people probably were bumping and grinding. We just didn't visually.
Yeah, well, we snuck and did it
See
in
it.
the basement under the blue light or
That's
something.
what I'm saying. I know it had to be a point where you was backing it up a little bit now.
Well, yeah, but you didn't do that in front of camera. You didn't back it up in front of camera. And it's not right. It's not wrong. I don't have no heat, no judgment. Sometimes I just don't understand. Is that all there is? I'm so happy for Cardi, for Nicki, for like her. I love these young artists. I pray
Beyonce.
for them all of the time. All of them. I just don't understand why we always have to start there.
That was your twerk. Y'all was in here twerking on camera.
I did.
So you ain't never been at Essence Fest and back that ass up, come on, and you felt like doing, because
Do
you
you
did
know-
that pretty good just now.
Listen,
now.
people's eyeballs
You
would
definitely
fall
tried
out
that.
if Iyanla Vanzant were to back up and start twerking at the Essence Music. Listen, I could see the bodies falling.
You did that before. You be doing that in the mirror.
I have.
There you
Listen,
go.
I've been on the pole.
For real?
Yeah. In my house.
Oh, you got a pole
You got
in
a
your
pole
house?
in your house?
Well, I had a
Well-
pole party.
What is it?
Really?
I got to know what's going on. I
Oh,
can't
my
be old and stupid. I had to
Who was at the
see
pole
Yeah, who was
party?
at this pole party?
all the old women I know. We had to first try to get the leg up. You know, that's not very
You got
sexy
it.
when you got to hold the leg on the pole. You have to hold it up there, and then we had to help each other to get it down.
So when you
Listen.
see the young girl shaking their ass, you're not against it. You just think it's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not all of the time.
Yeah.
Not all, everything, everybody. Everybody's song. It's just too much. It's too much.
Now
And
let
we
me.
don't see the guys doing it. The
Oh,
guys,
no, you do nowadays.
They shake their butts.
Absolutely.
Shake their butt.
1,000%.
I gotta go to VH1. I must have missed the video. I see them, I know they do the grinding and the grabbing of the crotch. I haven't seen the butt shaking. Maybe my opinion will change.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
Equal
Who-
opportunity butt shakers. I've definitely seen guys shaking their butt. I'll send y'all some videos.
Here is the thing that I understand, but I just have concern about is the tattooing of the face.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
You think so?
Yeah. And then most of the older guys that got those are wanting to get them removed now.
Well, it's cultural. It's ancestral for us too. War markings, tribal markings. So I get it. I just when you do it and you're not in a culture that's accepting of it. What happens when you get 50?
Yeah.
What happens?
Do you have any tattoos?
No. Listen. I'm not on the stick me with needle committee. I am not on that. Sometimes I say I'm going to get one, but no, I'm not.
Now I want to get you to weigh in on this topic we had the other day.
Okay.
We were talking about what do you do in a relationship if you're married and the wife doesn't want to have sex as often as the man wants to have sex, and then he starts feeling like, okay, what am I supposed to do? And then he starts looking outside of the relationship because he gets turned down so much from his own wife. What does one do in a situation like that?
I answered that on the R spot, and so there are times in a woman's life when your libido just goes down, your libido dies. I think the first thing you have to do is have the conversation, because what happens very often, my experience of the people who write me, is she won't say anything except no. She doesn't say anything, and then she just rejects him, and then he's like, what the hell. So the first thing you have to do is have the conversation. There are times when a woman's libido or her drive, it's down. It disappears. Ask me how I know.
Because you've grown and you've lived.
Yeah, okay, thank
She's
you.
like, I've been there before.
Yeah.
Especially after the babies come.
Yeah, after the babies come, but also stress, which is the same thing for a man. Stress. Sometimes there are chemical things that are going on. So you have to have the conversation, and you have to have an agreement. Because the other thing is, he doesn't want you just laying there like a piece of salami.
Right.
He might.
That's the weirdest thing to me, because I'm like, the worst thing is when you want to have sex and your woman doesn't want to, but y'all do anyway.
It's not
That's
that she
whack.
doesn't want to. It's that the desire and the drive isn't there. And so for her to do it, it feels almost like an imposition. Now, I will acknowledge that some women use sex as a reward and a punishment. They do that. So she's upset with you. She's not going to be open to you. So we need to, again, have the conversation.
Right.
I think that, a man being intimate outside of his committed relationship is an integrity issue.
That's right.
It's an integrity
And that's
issue.
why black men don't cheat.
You must
What
not
are
watch
you
Fix My
drinking?
Life.
Black men don't cheat.
What do they do?
Nothing. We're changing the narrative.
Black men don't cheat.
That's right.
So when they sleep outside of their relationship, what is that called?
Who does that?
I don't.
Well, let's
Who
finish
does
this
that?
conversation.
Right.
on the side. Now, one more question I want to ask you. What do you do when you're with somebody who is having mental health issues but won't get help for it?
Yeah.
And no matter what you do, what you say, you try to set them up to have appointments with therapists, and you try to talk to them about it, but they just won't seek that help.
Save yourself. One of the reasons they don't is because there's no consequences. One reason is they don't recognize that there is a problem. The second reason is there's no consequence for them not addressing the problem. And I know this is hard to say, but you really have to create a separation. You really do have to create a separation because you don't know the depth. You don't have a diagnosis. You don't know what's going on. So you could be sleeping, get your eyes gouged out or your throat cut or the kids could get harmed or whatever. So you have to create a separation. You have to. And I know that's hard.
Because then you feel guilty if something happens and you feel like you deserted
guilt is a
someone.
wasted emotion. You're not responsible for anybody else's choices. But one of the reasons people continue in bad behavior, whatever it is because there's no consequence. What is the consequence for me doing this?
That's right.
What's the consequence for me cheating? You staying. What's the consequence for me stealing from you to buy drugs? And you keep giving me a key. What's the consequence? There has to be a consequence. So for someone who's medically non-compliant, you have to say either you get help with this or I'm out. I can't do this. I won't do it.
Right.
I'm choosing not to do it. Not punishing you. I'm protecting me.
Ooh. Well, Queen Van Zandt has to go.
I do.
Thank you very much for coming.
Oh,
And
there's
don't
little
forget
there's
to-
stickies everywhere that says
Okay.
gotta
What is
rap.
sticky? What is
Not
it?
a-
It says
Okay.
gotta rap.
Yeah. Don't forget, I'm in 30 cities talking about all of this stuff. So go to IyanlaVanzantLive.com. I'm coming home to Brooklyn.
Hey.
Brooklyn.
The 19th. Brooklyn's in the house. Brooklyn, Jersey, Philly. So IyanlaVanzantLive.com. And you can come out and we'll spend good time. And then y'all can see this is real. This is not plastic.
You got to throw that juvenile back that ass up one time and show him.
You want me to kill him?
Well, you look amazing, and congratulations for your
Thank you for coming.
consistency and for
Thank you for
still
having
helping
me.
out our people.
Yes, thank you.
It's the Breakfast Club.